Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you're watching this, you have made it to the final interview stage for Disney's Cultural Exchange Programme. Well done you, I am proud. So this video is kind of going to be a little bit of a story time video as well as me giving you my tips and advice for this interview, because my final interview did not go to plan at all. So the final interviews actually took place in November. Luckily for me, it was through my university's reading week. I feel like they try and do that on purpose. They try and do it like when the national reading weeks are, because most unis have the same reading week. But yeah, so my interview fell during reading week. They span over like a week period and you have different time slots throughout the day. Mine was, I believe, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I believe it was on the Wednesday in November. So by this point I'd already had the application, the pre-screen, and now this was in November. So this has been going on since July. This has been a long process. As I've already mentioned, the application process for this is so long. So my interview was at 11 AM I believe. I think it was the same as my pre-screen. I think I purposely booked it for the same time because I knew that I could get to London for that time. It's in Hammersmith, so it's nowhere near as far as Epping, nowhere near as far as where I had to go last time. And so me and my boyfriend got the train to London really early in the morning from Bournemouth, because the train to London from Bournemouth takes a really long time. So I say a really long time, quite a long time compared to when I'm at home. So we got on the train at about, I don't know, 9 AM, 8:30, I don't remember, it was quite early. And we were well on time. Basically we worked out that we would have an hour and a half when we got to Waterloo to get to Hammersmith, and it only takes half an hour. When we were on the train decided to stop and we ended up being 45 minutes late into Waterloo, which was stressful. I cannot even thinking about it now like brings back stress. So that happened, and then we got to London, we got on the tube, and basically we got stuck trying to get to Hammersmith. For some reason we must have gone wrong somewhere and we ended up at Paddington, and we were running around Paddington Station like absolute crazy people. Like literally it was insane. I've never run so fast in my life. We kept going wrong, kept going on the wrong line, and then once we were finally on the right line, it was 11 o'clock. Okay, no, my interview was at 11:30, I remember this now. My interview was at 11:30, we were in Paddington at 11, and it was supposedly going to take half an hour to get there. So we finally made it. I say finally made it, finally got on the right tube, and then the tube decided to stop for 20 minutes just in the middle of the track, doing nothing. I was freaking out like crazy, like, oh my god, I'm going to miss my interview, like, they're not going to let me in, I'm going to fail, this is it, I'm not going to Disney, like, it's not going to happen. And my boyfriend was like, calm down, you're fine, just ring them. We couldn't get hold of them because I didn't have the number of Natalie from Yummy Jobs, because she was also going to be at Hammersmith, even though this interview was with like actual Disney. So I couldn't get hold of her. I rang the main office and they were like, oh, we don't deal with this, I'm really sorry, like there's nothing we can do, we don't deal with these interviews. And I was just like, what am I gonna do? We finally made it to the offices at exactly past. I ran in and they were like, no, you're at the wrong entrance. Basically, Yummy Jobs will tell you that there are two entrances for Disney. One entrance is the one that's like, you don't need to worry about it, and the other entrance is the one that we have to go to. And I knew this, I was very well aware of this, but in my panic, we went to the wrong one. Okay, my camera stopped recording and I don't know where I got to, but basically, we managed to make it eventually into the offices, long story short. And I apologised to him at the front desk. I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so late. I was like 2 minutes late, so it wasn't even like it was that big of a deal. And I was like, I'm so sorry, like my tube just stopped on the track and we were supposed to have an hour and a half to get here and it was only supposed to take half an hour and we were so late. And she was like, it's fine, calm down, like it's literally fine. They signed me in, they bag checked me. Natalie came downstairs and like got me and she was like, oh, we didn't think you were going to be coming. And I was like, I know, I panicked, I'm sorry I couldn't get hold of you and all of this. And then so she took me upstairs and her and Luke from like Yummy Jobs were sat at a table and they made me just fill out some forms and check my, what's it called, student status form that you have to get filled out, which again, if you're at this stage already, you would have already known about that. They basically just check it and make sure that you filled it out properly, and then if you haven't, they tell you to, when you get home, to like check it and fill it out again, and then send it back to them. So it's pretty easy. And because I was late, they'd already sent in the group that I was with, so I sat on my own outside the interview room, which was so awkward. I was just sat with Natalie and Luke, like, having a nice time, like, not really speaking because I was so nervous. And they're like, escort guy, the guy that like took you downstairs and upstairs, like in the lift, was just stood there staring at me like, don't do anything you're not supposed to do. And I was just sat there like, oh my god, like the officers are actually so strict, but they're so cool. Like, you go in, there's like a silver diamond Mickey, which I'm sure most of you will know about because it's very famous, and it's just so cool in the offices, but it's very professional and very strict. You have to dress very professionally for this one. I wore like a jumpsuit, I'll try and insert a picture, with like a shirt underneath it. The pre-screen is more like smart casual, but then again, you would have already known that. So yeah, they finally called my name to go in, and the woman who was interviewing me actually didn't know who I was because she thought I was someone else, because basically they just messed up the timings. And I don't know if this is like a known thing, like if they do this a lot, but anyway, it was resolved pretty quickly. I was like, no, that's not me, I'm actually this person. And so I sat down, and she basically straight away, the interviewer was the loveliest person. She was American, because they actually bring people over from Disney to like interview you, like people that actually work in Disney. So my interviewer was called Marie, I think. I didn't quite catch her name. I think she said Marie, but like I didn't quite hear it, so I didn't say her name, obviously, because I was scared to get it wrong, but I think her name was Marie. So the minute I sat down, she asked how I was, and I explained that my tube stopped and I was a bit flustered and I hadn't had time to like sort myself out yet, and she literally said it was fine and that she's glad that I could make it. So first of all, she asked me what my 2 roles were and why I chose those roles, which I thought was a really nice question. Again, we'd already been asked that at the pre-screen, but this was so that she could actually put it on the system this time, so I had to actually like decide. I actually ended up saying that my top 2 roles were merchandise and attractions. I think I panicked a little bit, but I also think in the time between pre-screens and the final interview I decided that I actually was interested in attractions. But then she was saying to me you have to learn a lot of script for attractions, and it's good for people that do musical theatre and acting and that sort of thing. So I think she tried to like tear me off it a little bit, but I did also say that I think I would be more suitable for quick service because that's what I have my experience in. So then she sort of followed that up by asking me what experience I had in quick service. So I mentioned, like, again, that I worked in a fish and chip shop and in a pub, and I said they were both really busy and I had a lot of guest interaction, things like that, which I think at that point she must have just thought, I'm not even going to bother even considering you for merchandise anymore, because why would I not be put into quick service? And at this point I knew that as well. Like, I already had it got in my mind that if I was going to get offered the job, it would be for quick service, which I was kind of okay with because it is the field that I know best, and as much as I would have loved to have tried something different, I know that I'm much more suited to that kind of role anyway. She then, similar to the pre-screen, asked me what experience I have with living with other people, not necessarily people from different cultures, but again I did bring that up. I said that I lived with a girl who wasn't from the UK and we tried a lot of her food, and we got on really well with her and things like that. So again, she didn't ask me specifically about culture, but she did imply it, and I think it is important to again remember that they are implying that in every question they ask you. You do have to talk about culture, and again I feel like a stuck record like talking about this in every video that I filmed, but honestly, talk about culture is so important. She also asked me a really interesting question which made me think, and that was, would I be able to cope with the heat out in Florida? And I said yes. I made a joke that when I was born I was in an incubator for the first 100 days of my life and that I miss it, which she laughed at. And I just said that when I visited Florida before, we went in the peak of summer and I struggled for the first few days, but then I acclimatised quite easily and quite quickly, and I said to her that I much prefer being too hot than too cold, which she agreed, and I felt like we got a good conversation out of that, so that was pretty nice. And again, because I brought up that I'd been to Florida, we spoke about it a little bit, but again it wasn't like the focus of the interview, so if any of you have not ever been before, then I wouldn't worry about it. She asked me like where else I'd been when I visited, but they don't really care like that much. It's more about the job than anything else at this point. She also then asked me if I had any tattoos, and I said yes. Obviously I have my one on my ankle, and as I mentioned in the previous pre-screen video, it's so important to disclose this if you do have any tattoos. Even if they're really small and like they would never be visible with your costume, you do have to disclose it, because there is the odd chance that you might have to wear something that might show it, and then you would be in a bit of trouble, because obviously you're not allowed to have tattoos. You can have them, but they have to be covered. She did linger on this question a little bit for a while though, which kind of concerned me. She was like, okay, in inches, how small would you say it is? And I don't really know the answer to that question. I didn't prepare, like I didn't measure my tattoo, but it is only super small, my ankle, and I was like, oh, I can show you if you want. But I was like literally like maybe that big, and it's on my ankle, so I can cover it with like normal socks. By that then she just stopped talking about it, because I think she was just concerned that it was going to be in a more obvious place than it actually was. Yeah, and the final thing she actually said to me was, do I have any questions for her? And normally when I do stuff like this, like interviews or talks or something where it's like, do you have any questions? I never normally ask a question because I don't have anything to ask. But I was watching another video previous to my interview about the interview, and someone said that they asked their interviewer, like, what made them want to work for Disney, and I thought that was a really nice question to ask, because it shows genuine interest in the person you're talking to, and it shows engagement, which again is such an important thing for like being a cast member and talking to guests and interacting with the guests. So I decided to ask her why she decided to work for Disney, and she said that she actually started, I hope I get this right, she did a college program and then from there just kept working for them. Which I thought was really, really interesting. So I'm glad that I asked a question. I normally don't in situations like that, but I just felt like I had to. She probably has been asked that question so many times, and it's probably quite generic, but it's just nice to show a bit of interest in the person that you're talking to. So yeah, that was basically it. She then just said good luck and thank you very much for coming, and she said again, like, don't worry about your tube being delayed, it's not a problem at all, which by that point I was so much more calm. But this probably only lasted like 10 minutes. This interview was so short, maybe not even 10 minutes. Like, it was nice to have a conversation with someone, but I get they obviously also have to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. So it didn't really last that long at all. By the time I got out, nothing had really sunk in because I was still like in a rush from the tube. I went downstairs, took a photo of the silver Mickey. I didn't take a photo with it, but I took a photo of it, and then we just went to Nando's and just chilled, and that was basically the day. So yeah, there's not really a lot that I can really say for this interview in terms of tips. All I will say is, if you are running late because of your train or whatever, just try and get in contact with whoever you can and let them know. They don't tend to mind too much, but obviously if you can help it, then don't be late, obviously. I would also just say be yourself completely. Again, it's the same situation as being in the Yummy Jobs offices. It's so exciting that you can't help but smile and be happy, and that really, really shows. Make sure you use good body language and that you're really engaged with the person you're talking to. Make sure you become interested in them as well and ask them questions if you have any, and also don't be afraid to ask questions, like I always am, even if it's with the Yummy Jobs team that like see you when you first arrive. If you have any questions for them, they'll be more than happy to answer. Don't ask them when you're going to hear back from them, because they don't know. The Disney team know that, and you get told when you're there that you'll probably find out in a few weeks' time, in December. I actually found out 3 weeks later, in the very, very start of December. I think it was like the 3rd of December or something like that. So I found out quite quickly, a lot quicker than I'd anticipated. And yeah, what I will say is if you do get a final interview, then the chances of you getting the job are significantly higher than what they were at the pre-screen, because they tend to only interview people that they really are considering for a job, just to meet them and like triple check that they're right for the job, and triple check that they know what the job entails, and they're right for the role they want to put them in. So I wouldn't panic too much about, oh god, what if I don't get it, what if I don't get it, because actually you're like 80% likely to get it at this point. So yeah, which is, I think, again, is a really positive thing, and that's a really good thing to remember going into it, that you can just be yourself, and yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, in terms of tips, that's literally all I have, because the final interview experience differs from person to person. For me, it was very stressful and very rushed and all over the place, but I did really enjoy it, and the actual interview process was really, really nice. It was really chill. It was just in one room with one person, which was so nice, and yeah, we found out a lot quicker than we'd anticipated to. So if you guys do have a final interview coming up for your Disney Cultural Exchange program, I do wish you the best of luck. You're going to smash it. Really don't have to be worried about it at all. It's such a fun day, apart from my day, but most of the time, like, it's supposed to be a really fun, positive experience. And again, if you don't get the job at this point, you've had the experience of being interviewed by Disney, which I think is insane itself. We also got to keep our lanyards, which it's on my mirror over there and I can see it and I love it so much. But yeah, that's basically what I have to say for this video. Good luck if you do have an interview. Let me know how it goes and let me know if you get the job. I'd love to hear. I want to know. I want to know who's gone from the pre-screen or the first application to now from watching my videos. I'd love to know, because I know that I used so many YouTubers when I was applying for the job, so I'm so grateful for those guys for those videos they've created, which is why I wanted to create these myself. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already for future Disney content, because obviously I'm going on my CEP very soon, which I'm so excited about. There's going to be a lot more videos to come. And yeah, I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye!